Okay, let's dive into this. We often think history is, just static. Dates, facts, filed away. But what if it's, well, much more alive, like a tapestry of real people, real choices, hidden stories?
That's exactly the heart of Nancy Polk Hall's perspective, isn't it? The sources we have, biography bits, a look at her novel, Call of the Blackbird, they really show someone who sees history as lived, not just recorded events. Her goal seems to be finding those stories textbooks might just gloss over, the human side of it all.
And that's our mission here today, to really unpack how she does that. What makes her approach so distinctive? How does she make history feel immediate, personal, unforgettable? We're going to use these sources directly to explore what shaped her. The core idea is making history feel real.
Right. And what's fascinating from the get-go is her core belief. History isn't just a dusty old record. It's about lives lived, human endurance, choices made, stories that, well, deserve to be heard.
You see signs of this really early on. The biography mentions this story from ninth grade, where she actually challenged her history teacher.
About how they were spending ages on, say, Neanderthal man, but barely touching the Reformation.
And then she brought up the War of the Roses, something she felt was important but overlooked.
And the teacher, who maybe wasn't super passionate about history himself.
Right. The source says he admitted he hadn't even heard of it.
Which is kind of amazing, so he turned it back on her.
Exactly. Said if she thought it was so vital, she should teach the class about it.
Wow. And did she?
She did. Stayed up late, researched it all, mapped out the families, even mimeographed handouts. This is ninth grade, remember?
That's dedication. And what happened?
Well, the payoff was huge. A classmate apparently told her they learned more in that one session than all year.
So that must have been a key moment. It solidified for her, that history. When you tell the story, when you focus on the why.
It sticks. Exactly. It's not just data points. It changes how you see things. It suggests part of her method is finding that narrative hook, the human drama.
And that early insight, that feeling, it seems like it was massively reinforced by her own family's history.
Oh, definitely. This is where we really start to see why she focuses on the hidden stuff, the personal layers. Let's get into her paternal family's story during World War II. It's quite dramatic.
Yeah, this part is full of irony and, well, hidden history. It really shows the complexity she probably learned from. Her paternal grandmother leaves Berlin in 1923.
Seeking a better life in America,
Yeah,
right?
But then, decades later, during the war, safe in the U.S., she gets labeled an enemy alien. Why? Just because she never became a citizen.
Talk about irony, and then the twist. Around the same time her grandmother was leaving Berlin, her paternal great-grandmother actually went back there.
Yes. And, get this, she secretly became an American citizen in Berlin.
So you got one grandmother tagged as an enemy in America, while the other is an actual American citizen hiding her identity inside Nazi Germany.
Exactly. Layers upon layers. The source even says the great-grandmother sewed her naturalization papers into the sole of her shoe to survive.
Wow. Literally walking on a secret history. But it didn't end well, did it?
No. Tragedy struck. She was trapped in Berlin, and her husband was killed by Russian forces in Pankow.
And her own fate. It's unknown.
Unknown. Nancy suspects the worst, given what we know about the brutality towards older women then. It's heartbreaking how huge historical events just crash into individual lives.
Such a heavy story. But there's a coda, right? After the Berlin Wall fell.
Yes, decades later, in 1989. Nancy's grandmother, the one who'd fled in 23, still held the legal title to the family home in Berlin, and she was able to reclaim it.
What a journey. From fleeing to being an enemy to reclaiming the home across generations. You can see how living with this kind of story.
Oh, absolutely.
The ironies, the secrets, the survival, the unresolved loss, the eventual return it would teach you about the hidden currents in history, wouldn't it? The long shadow it casts.
It perfectly illustrates how identity, place, history, that they're all tangled up in very personal ways. History isn't over, it lives on.
But it wasn't only that intense paternal history. Her maternal side offered a different, maybe quieter, but equally powerful lesson.
Right. This is a lovely, though poignant, story about her maternal great-grandmother.
One a mama.
That's the one, born in 1883. Nancy was 12, comes into the kitchen, and one mama is talking with Nancy's grandmother.
And her grandmother tries to shoo her away, maybe thinking it wasn't interesting for a kid.
Yeah, sort of run along now. But Nancy had this thought, just crystal clear. You're old. You have stories.
That's profound for a 12-year-old.
Isn't it? So she stayed, and she listened.
And heard these amazing details.
Vivid stuff. Growing up on a ranch in Lavaca County, Texas, riding horses side saddle in long dresses, her father teaching all the girls to shoot rifles, things that just paint a picture.
Little snapshots of a lost time.
Exactly. And the really significant part, as Mama talked, even Nancy's own grandmother started hearing things she never knew about her own family. It became this shared moment of discovery.
Just by listening.
Just by listening.
And then the really poignant part. Mama died just 6 months later.
Yeah, and that just cemented it for Nancy, didn't it?
It must have. The realization that history isn't just in books, it's spoken, it's passed down.
And if you don't ask, if you don't listen, poof, it disappears forever.
It really highlights another part of her method. Valuing those spoken histories, the details that might seem small, but hold the human reality of the past.
Absolutely. It's not just official records, it's lived experience.
And there are other things, too, beyond family. Childhood travels in Europe.
Right. Exploring old castles, getting that tangible feel of history in the landscape and the stones themselves, makes it less abstract.
And that Christmas Eve story in France, 1964. She was 8. Sounds like it was, well, humble circumstances.
Yeah. Cramped apartment, cold, maybe a bit bleak. A Charlie Brown Christmas tree, the smell of manure. Sounds like maybe post-war recovery or just tough times.
But the lesson she took wasn't about what they lacked.
No, it was about finding the real meaning of Christmas in just being together as a family, finding something extraordinary in, well, quite ordinary or even difficult surroundings, another lens, perhaps, for looking at the past.
And that weird East Texas story. Getting lost looking for Parker's store.
Yeah, that one's intriguing. A landmark she was told to use for directions, but it seemed to only exist in memory. Maybe it never existed, or it vanished.
It adds that touch of mystery, doesn't it? How some history is elusive, not easily pinned down. It defies easy explanation.
Right. It suggests that not everything fits neatly. Some things live more in story than the fact.
So all these threads, the family sagas, the power of listening, feeling history in places, finding meaning in the everyday, even the mysteries, they all seem to feed into her writing, especially her debut novel, Call of the Blackbird.
Exactly. Based on the description we have, this novel is where she puts that whole approach into practice. It's described as weaving mystery, romance, historical intrigue.
Inspired by writers like Mary Stuart, known for that atmospheric blend.
Right. And the sources highlight intricate details, compelling characters, and crucially, a respect for historical realities.
The cover image hints at those evocative historical settings, too, like castles or ruins, places where history feels present.
And you can see the connections, can't you? Those intricate details likely come from her appreciation for the specifics learned through listening, like with Mama.
Makes sense.
The respect for historical realities echoes that lesson from 9th grade history told, right? Sticks.
Right.
And the blend of mystery and intrigue. That could be her way of exploring those layers, those hidden stories, those unresolved questions she found in her own family's past. History isn't just wallpaper in her book, it's active. It shapes the plot, the character.
Just like it shaped her. So pulling it all together, her unique method seems to be about activating history, finding the human pulse.
Yeah, uncovering hidden layers, valuing the spoken stories, seeing the profound in the ordinary, and even acknowledging the mystery.
She makes you feel it, which matters because, as she shows, history isn't really past, is it?
Not at all. It shapes our present. Her work suggests some stories just refuse to stay buried. They need to be shared.
It's clear her gift comes directly from these experiences, challenging that teacher, inheriting her family's wartime saga, capturing one of Mama's fleeting stories. She makes the past feel like part of us now.
And it does make you wonder, doesn't it? After hearing how much her perspective was shaped by family stories, overheard chats, even strange, unexplained moments.
What stories might be hiding in plain sight within your own family history? Or maybe in those small, everyday moments you've lived through? What could they reveal if you really listened? Perhaps a whole new way of seeing things, or even a story only you can tell.